Okay, Genesis 12. Now the Lord said to Abram, go from your country and your kindred and your father's house to the land that I will show you. And I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great so that you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and him who dishonors you I will curse. And in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. So Abram went as the Lord had told him, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he departed from Haran. And Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their possessions that they had gathered, and the people that they had acquired in Haran, and they set out to go to the land of Canaan. When they came to the land of Canaan, Abram passed through the land to the place at Shechem, to the oak of Moreh. At that time the Canaanites were in the land. Then the Lord appeared to Abram and said, to your offspring I will give this land. So he built there an altar to the Lord who had appeared to him. From there he moved to the hill country on the east of Bethel and pitched his tent, with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. And there he built an altar to the Lord and called upon the name of the Lord. And Abram journeyed on, still going toward the Negeb. Now there was a famine in the land. So Abram went down to Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was severe in the land. There's lots of famines in the Old Testament. Sorry, just sticks out there. When he was about to enter Egypt, he said to Sarai his wife, I know that you are a woman beautiful in appearance, and when the Egyptians see you, they will say, this is his wife. Then they will kill me, but they will let you live. Say you are my sister, that it may go well with me because of you, and that my life may be spared for your sake. When Abram entered Egypt, the Egyptians saw that the woman was very beautiful. And when the princes of Pharaoh saw her, they praised her to Pharaoh. And the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house. And for her sake he dealt well with Abram, and he had sheep, oxen, male donkeys, male servants, female donkeys, and camels. But the Lord afflicted Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife. So Pharaoh called Abram and said, what is this you have done to me? Why did you not tell me that she was your wife? Why did you say she is my sister, so that I took her for my wife? Now then, here's your wife, take her and go. And Pharaoh gave men orders concerning him, and they sent him away with his wife and all that he had. I always thought that was a very crazy story, and I happened to listen to it last night as I was going to sleep and got a little bit better grip on it. It's a weird fashion, but in a way, he was protecting Sarai. But go lie to these guys. Oh, that's been my first take on that all the time. Go tell a lie. Okay, but he did that to protect her so that he wouldn't be killed. So it's just kind of a weird scenario.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I would go that direction with it. It kind of, yeah, I don't know.
Definitely different. But let's start back at the beginning.
There you go. Let's start at the beginning.
So verses 1 through 3, God tells Abram, go from your country and your kindred and your father's house. So leave, let's be broad here. Leave the United States, leave the Terry family, and
go.
That's what he's basically saying. Go from your country, your kindred, and your father's house. And go.
To a land that I will show you.
But I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great so that you will be a blessing. So when God called him, this is the Life Application Guide, Abram moved out in faith from Ur to Haran and finally to Canaan. And God then established a covenant with Abram, telling him that he would found a great nation. Not only would this nation be blessed, God said, But the other nations of the earth would be blessed through Abram's descendants. The people of Israel, the nation that would come from Abram, were to follow God and influence those with whom they came in contact. But the greatest blessing of all is that through Abram's family tree, Jesus Christ will be born to save humanity. Through Christ, people can have a personal relationship with God and be blessed beyond measure. So in verse 2, God promises to bless Abram and make him famous, but God had one condition. Abram had to do what God wanted him to do, which is all he wants of all of us.
I was going to say, that sounds extremely familiar.
Right? This meant leaving his home, his friends, and traveling to a new land where God promised to build a great nation from Abram's family. Abram obeyed, walking away from his home for God's promise of even greater blessings in the future. God may be trying to lead you to a place of greater service and usefulness for him. Don't let the comfort and security of your present position make you miss out on greater opportunities God has for you. Kyle, we should have read this 5 months ago. He's ignoring me. So.
Yeah, it's speaking to me quite a bit.
I bet. So verse 3, I will bless those who bless you, and him who dishonors you I will curse. And in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. So as long as people blessed Abram, they're going to receive a blessing. But if they don't, they're going to be cursed.
Which is kind of the way it goes. You don't even have to really look at Abram. When your life pours blessings on other people, your life is blessed.
Your life is blessed. Well, and yeah, I think that's the thing is when, yeah, you pour out.
Because to me, right here, your first line is where I focus. The Lord said, "Go."
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't say, well, I got this job that's a really good job, and the car broke down. Here. The kids are here. The multitude of excuses you can hear when the Lord calls somebody to do something. There's none of that. He says go, and he packs, and he goes.
He goes. Well, the only thing go ahead.
Abraham, later, I don't want to get too far ahead, but I believe, I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, darn it.
I believe is the only one that the Bible tells us that his faith was counted as righteousness.
Yes.
In that, I think we got to see the picture of Jesus. It's our faith that is our righteousness. Our faith in Jesus Christ alone.
Yes.
Is where our righteousness lies, because we have none.
Right.
It's all a gift him. That we have to depend on receiving.
Yes, it's all him. So in the expository, it says you have to realize that there was no mention of the Lord in Genesis 11, 27 through 32. So remember when we stopped here at the end of Genesis, it's Terah's descendants, and they're all, Terah fathered Abraham, Nahor, Haran fathered Lot, yada, yada, yada. There's no mention of the Lord, even though his fingerprints were all over the events that transpired. Now, though, the Lord speaks directly to Abram, just as he had earlier spoken to Adam and Eve, Cain, and Noah. His words are a command that would be especially challenging in an ancient text. Abram is to leave his country, his kindred, and his father's house, including his father, who will live in Haran for another 60 years. Nothing is specified about the land to which he's headed except that the Lord will show it to him. In light of this command, the Lord promises to make Abram into a great nation, which implies numerous descendants, a remarkable promise to a 75-year-old man with a barren wife. So before some of you got here, some of the family were on Teams, and we were talking about how we doubt. And we don't always have the faith. So Abram's going to get a promise here. He's 75 years old, and the promise doesn't get fulfilled.
And the promise does not make sense to the human mind.
No. Not a 75-year-old man, you're going to father the great nations, but it doesn't happen until he's 100 years old.
And his wife's barren.
And his wife's barren.
Although his wife's smart, she can figure this out for God.
Right. Yeah. We're getting ahead of the story.
And curses with Islam.
Oh, man.
Anyway.
But God's promising, I will bless you and make your name great.
Hello, Donna.
So that you will be a blessing. Hello, Miss Donna. And I will bless those who bless you, and him who dishonors you, I will curse. And I think that's what we see later here in the chapter with Pharaoh. So Abram goes, as God told him, and Lot goes with him. Abram's 75 years old when he departed from Haran, and he takes Sarai, his wife, and Lot, his brother's son, and all their possessions, and the people that they had acquired in Haran, and they set out to go to the land of Canaan. So they've got quite a bit here, it sounds like. 2 different families. They set up tents. Can you imagine packing up your household and it's all in tents? It's not like we would pack up a house, but yeah,
no,
like
it's
we would
exactly
pack up
like
a house.
we pack up a house,
Yeah.
except for that
It's on camels and mules, donkeys.
tents fold and 2x4s don't.
Tents fold and 2x4s don't, right? Oh my gosh.
But I would imagine that, especially considering the time frame, them tents had to have weighed hundreds of pounds.
Well, because they weren't little tents like we go pop up a tent.
That's what I'm saying. They're houses.
Yeah.
They live in that tent. They're I guess it ain't family rooms and bedrooms. It's just one big room, but everything happens inside that tent for the whole family.
Right. Okay.
Hello, Cynthia.
So, carrying on here, the Lord promises to bless Abram, a promise that would normally include material prosperity as well as numerous offspring. This will be the first aspect of the blessing to be realized as God multiplies Abram's possessions when he returns from Egypt at the end of the chapter. The provision of an heir will take considerably longer. The Lord will see that Abram's name or reputation is made great, a concern of the builders of Babel. Remember, they wanted to be recognized and be great. And of the Nephilim in chapter 6, verse 4. In fact, the Lord will change Abram's name to Abraham, the father of nations, and make him the spiritual ancestor of those from all nations who have faith in God. He's also going to bless others. That is, when others want to bless someone, they will invoke Abram as a model of what blessing looks like. May the Lord make you like Abram. The general promise is unpacked in what follows. As Abram is the chosen representative of the deity, people's attitude to Abram will define the Lord's response to them. Those who bless Abram, treating him with respect and favor, will receive blessing from the Lord, while those who dishonor him will be placed under divine curse, resulting in their dishonor or even death. Abram and Sarai will thus be under the Lord's direct and personal protection. It's ironic that this protection is most evident in the episodes in which Abram doubts God's ability to take care of him. I think that there is so much great, oh my gosh, we say go back to the Bible for the truth. We've all had doubts. We've all had, can God really make this happen? And seeing what God can make happen, we haven't even scratched the surface.
Again, this sounds familiar.
No.
Deja vu.
But the other part, I think, is how it's, if you bless Abram, there's going to be good things. May the Lord make you like Abram. Again, there's that foreshadowing of what's going to come thousands of years after Abram. But Abram is like, okay, we set up the Garden of Eden and you guys fell. And 10 generations later, Noah, you need to build an ark. I know you don't know what it is, but I'll guide you. And you're going to build an ark, and I'm going to save your family because the rest of it's gone. It's already gone. Okay. Noah comes, and out of that, even though everything's wiped off, still the sin is still there. They're still human, and sin still reigns.
Well, that's...
Not reigns, but is still evident.
When Adam and Eve sinned, they handed the keys to this world over to Satan. He is
the prince of the air.
Prince of this world.
Yes.
Lots of people say God, little God of this world, or little G of this world.
Right.
He has control here. Now, Jesus has come, and he's defeated Satan. But he wants us to continue to believe the lie that it's just like we've been living for the last years. Instead of recognizing the lie and saying, no, this book tells me who I am. And if I will just deny myself, deny my truth, accept the truth that Christ brought, then we live a completely and teetotal different.
Yeah. Different. Set apart.
Set apart, holy.
Unique. Phew. So, it goes on here. The goal of Abram's calling is to bring salvation to the peoples of the earth, not merely judgment. Though those who despise Abram and his offspring will surely find themselves under God's wrath. This calling for Israel to be a light to the Gentiles recurs throughout the Old Testament, especially in the prophet Isaiah, where it becomes the mission of God's servant. Anyway, I just find it so, I hadn't made the total connection here. More dots connecting. The salvation story is told clear back here.
Yes.
All the way through.
That you hear a lot of people say that Jesus brought a new covenant, and I'm not sure it's a new covenant. I think he's pointing out the real covenant that got covered with lies, bringing it back to the original.
Right.
No, have faith. The law was brought forward so that we would know we are sinners.
Right.
It wasn't brought forward to condemn us. It was so that we would know sin. We would know when we did it. Oh,
that was wrong.
I goofed up.
Right.
And repent before the Lord. And even here, he's quick to forgive. The Lord is the same yesterday as he is today, as he will be tomorrow. He doesn't change.
Man. So it goes on here. Yeah, he doesn't change, hasn't for all of time. So verse 4 to 9, in the beginning of all things, God spoke, and his word was immediately fulfilled. He spoke creation into being. So too, here, in this momentous new beginning for humanity, God says, go. And Abram goes, even though he does not know yet where he is going. This is the archetypal response of faith that will, in large measure, this is the response that will characterize Abram's life. And that is the piece that sets him apart. God says, go, do, and he does. And his life is blessed. His nephew Lot goes with him, and as we'll see, while he travels with Abram, sharing his faith, Lot is also blessed. But once he leaves Abram and strikes out on his own, however, Lot's story takes on a different and a more negative trajectory. The text reiterates Abram's age, 75 years old, which by itself does not preclude his having offspring. His own father, Terah, had been 70 when Abram was born. So culturally and bodily were different then than they are now, or we perceive it being different now. There's no way, Lord.
The mom would be having another child.
That your mom would be having another child. The text reiterates Abram's age, 75. Terah was 70 when Abram was born. So that highlights the fragility of hope here. The next 25 years will be spent waiting for the fulfillment of the promise. More serious still, Abram takes with him his wife Sarai, whom we've already been told is barren. Nothing short of the Lord's help could solve their need and fulfill God's promise.
Except for Sarai, who had it all figured out for God. Just take my servant Hagar.
Right? You're jumping ahead of the story. Right? But jumping ahead of the story.
Yeah, I'm driving home a point of how we do this.
Yeah.
This cannot.
Understand.
My knowledge just does not compute, but I lean on my knowledge.
Right, my own
understanding.
understanding.
I have my own understanding, so I have to make this work.
Yep.
I have to make it work because God ain't got the capabilities of making it work. This is the way we function today.
Yep.
We need to do this, and I need to make it work because God knows God don't have it figured out.
Oh man, we are such.
So I've said it since I started reading the Bible. It's a wonder God don't just lightning bolt us all.
But He loves us.
But He loves us. Why? We are a mess.
Okay, so Abram goes, and Lot goes with him, and Sarai, and all their possessions, and off they go. And they set out to go to the land of Canaan. And when they came to the land of Canaan, Abram passed through the land to the place at Shechem, to the oak of Morah. And I was going to see if that'll tell me anything more here. Nope, just says a place where Abraham built an altar to God after entering Canaan. But that's the thing in the Old Testament too, is there's altars that mark milestones. So I got to the land of Canaan, and so here I'm going to stop and be thankful for this and remember this.
I think it comes into sacrifices is where the altar, they stop and make a place to worship.
Right.
With their sacrifice, with their...
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, at that time, the Canaanites were in the land, and then the Lord appears to Abram and says, "To your offspring I will give this land." So he built an altar to the Lord, and from there then he moved to the hill country on the east of Bethel and pitched his tent with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. And there he builds an altar to the Lord and called upon the name of the Lord, and Abram journeyed on, still going toward the Negeb.
I think Angel's commenting in concern with helping God figure this out, because heaven knows he don't know what he's doing.
Oh.
But been there before, LOL.
Oh.
I can't believe that of Angel.
I started to say, Angel, you too? It's amazing how we... Okay.
We've been told a lie. We believe it.
And we believe it.
Our experience backs
because
it up.
Because that's so much easier than believing that an almighty God, David, 100 years old, you're going to have a child. Because our brain cannot get a hold of that kind of a concept because of the programming that we've had for all these years. To put God in that kind of a box is...
To put him in a box.
Not just
that kind of a box.
Right.
To put him in a box. He can do what he wants. You don't have to follow the rules. He usually does. But he don't have to. If he wants to raise Lazarus from the dead after Lazarus had died, then so be it.
4 days later. Yeah. He's going to smell.
Go take a shower, dude.
So, Abram doesn't leave Haran empty-handed. He begins his journey with the possessions and people he acquired while in Haran. So he's gotten blessings there. These people may be what we call servants or slaves, though ancient working patterns and relationships could be quite different from modern slavery. One of these people acquired by Abram is undoubtedly Eliezer, and he's going to be described in chapter 15 as an heir of my house, who stands to inherit Abraham's estate if he dies childless. Ooh, the plot thickens here. Others undoubtedly have much more menial roles, but are still regarded as part of the larger household over whom Abram has authority and for whom he also bears responsibility. That's the other part that I hadn't thought about. So he's the leader of this band.
He's the mayor.
Yeah. And so he has a huge responsibility. It's not just him and his wife and his nephew.
It's him and his wife and the town.
And the town, the community.
The village.
So once he arrives in Canaan, he traverses it from north to south, stopping at 3 significant locations: Shechem, Bethel or Ai, and the Negeb. Jacob will also visit each of these places when he returns to the land after his sojourn. So take note. And they are each the site of important events during the conquest under Joshua. So again, he built these altars, marking points in time, places in time, and his offspring are going to come back to those altars and remember. And tell the story and worship. Yeah. So.
No, I'm not paying attention. Can you imagine having to carry a child for 9 months and then deliver it at the age of 70? Right?
No, I cannot. Our last one was 28, and I said, done. No more at 28. No. I cannot. Heather Holly. What does she say?
All through the Bible, believers put God in a box and doubt him. He literally makes bread fall from the sky and yet doubt it.
And yet we doubt it, right?
It's our sinful nature, thanks to Adam and Eve. Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, I'm going to feed you. For 40 years, bread's going to fall out of the sky. Here, I feed you.
All you can do is just go pick it up.
Don't take any more than you need for the day, because it's going to be here again tomorrow. Just get what you need for the day.
Unless you're coming on the Sabbath, and then collect the day for tomorrow.
Great point, Heather. And then we live like we have to do all this stuff. No, we have to honor him, worship him, and say, okay, you do, and I'll follow. Oof. Okay, so where are we at here?
7:30.
7:30.
Oh, you meant... sorry.
So Abram and Sarai are in Egypt in verse 10. And there's a famine in the land. Again, so there's going to be lots of famines, as we're going to see moving forward. So Abram went down to Egypt to sojourn, for the famine was severe. When he was about to enter Egypt, he said to Sarai, I know that you are a woman beautiful in appearance, and when the Egyptians see you, they will say, that's his wife. Then they'll kill me, but they will let you live. Say you're my sister, that it may go well with me because of you, and that my life may be spared for your sake. That part of the story has always been, you want her to lie? Really? So I got to look at verse 10 here. So when famine struck, Abram went to Egypt where there was food. Why would God allow a famine in the land where he had just called Abram? This was a test of Abram's faith, and Abram passed. He didn't question God's leading when facing this difficulty. Many believers find out when they determine to follow God that they immediately encounter great obstacles. The next time you face such a test, don't try to second guess what God is doing. Use the intelligence God gave you, as Abram did when he temporarily moved to Egypt, and wait for new opportunities. But then we go right into verse 11 through 13. Abram's acting out of fear. And so he asked Sarai to tell a half-truth by saying she's his sister.
That ain't even a half-truth. That's a bald-faced lie. I'm sorry.
She was.
Yes, that's that one.
So Abram, acting out of fear, asked Sarai to tell a half-truth. She was his half-sister. See chapter 20, verse 12. Well, I guess we'll get there. But she was also his wife, a practice that was considered acceptable at the time. It was only later forbidden in Leviticus. Whole other part of the story. Abram's intent was to deceive the Egyptians. He feared that if they knew the truth, they would kill him to get Sarai. She would have been a desirable addition to Pharaoh's harem because of her wealth, beauty, and potential for political alliance. As Sarai's brother, Abraham would have been given a place of honor. So as her husband, however, his life would be in danger because Sarai could not enter Pharaoh's harem unless Abram was dead. So Abram lost faith in God's protection even when all God had promised him and told a half-truth. This shows how lying compounds the effects of sin. When Abram lied, his problems multiplied. And that's where it leaves off for that chapter.
Of course.
Half-truth.
No, a lie. I'm falling behind here.
Are you falling behind there?
I'm falling behind.
All right.
I very much believe all the things are possible. I just would not want to be the one having the baby.
Ooh, preach, sister. Amen. But I've come to the point of, okay, God, whatever. Don't get me wrong. I'd be like, seriously? But, but obedience, man.
See, and not being the woman, it's not the labor part of it, which I comprehend that. But it's like I cannot imagine raising a kid at my age.
Right.
I could probably do a whole lot better than I did.
Right.
But I can't imagine doing it. I thought I was patient. I didn't pray for this.
So let's see. So yeah, Abram's actions are now being driven by his fears, not by his faith. The promises of the living God have been forgotten under the pressure of difficult circumstances.
How's that laid out?
So the reasonableness of Abram's fears becomes clear once his retinue arrives in Egypt. It means all of them. The Egyptians noticed Sarai's attractiveness and praised her to Pharaoh, who takes her into his harem. This is the first biblical reference to the title Pharaoh, which is never modified by a personal name, much to the frustration of scholars. It appears that Abram's strategy for dealing with this situation is succeeding, at least superficially. Not only is he still alive, but he prospers greatly as the brother of Pharaoh's newest wife, gaining an abundance of servants and animals, including camels, which are quite rare in this time period. Yet this material prosperity hardly compensates for Abram's sense of having completely derailed God's plan, leaving the promised land, losing his wife, and therefore the prospect of children, and becoming a curse rather than a blessing to those around him. There is therefore a heavy irony in the statement, he dealt well with Abram, in verse 16. Of course, God's plans are not easily threatened by human sin. As he does later in the time of Moses, the Lord brings great plagues upon Pharaoh, so that Pharaoh sends Abram away to return to the land of Canaan with Sarai and his now greatly enlarged possessions of livestock, silver, and gold. Yet Abram is left silent without anything to say in his own defense in his audience with Pharaoh, who appears as the entirely innocent and wronged party in this encounter. Quite a strange turn of events there, but that again,
it's just showing though that we are all human, We all fall short. We all fail. But just get back on track.
Right.
Fall in line and
notice this. Be obedient. Be repentant. Be obedient. Because he is so forgiving. But yeah, Pharaoh gave him all this stuff. Go.
I'm still
Here's your
puzzled.
wife. Take her and go. And Pharaoh gave men orders and sent them away with his wife and all that he had.
Yeah.
But it does sound like, no, he's, what? Pharaoh calls Abram and says, what have you done to me? Why didn't you tell me? Why did you say she's my sister? I've taken her for my wife. Here, she's yours, take her, go. And Abram doesn't say anything. I think that's shame and regret.
Even if it is, at some point, he repented and got back on point.
Oh, yeah. That's for Sunday night now. I figure out which day we're on. We'll pick up the rest of the story. But the overwhelming theme, yes, I think, my opinion, God
so
says
bizarre,
go.
giving your sister wife to Pharaoh.
Right? It's just a very strange story. And at first,
It's a very strange part of the story.
Yes.
Definitely.
Because it kind of sounds like Abram's like, okay, in order for me to protect you, you need to lie and say, I'm your brother. And that way they won't take you from me, but Pharaoh takes her anyway.
And that's where I'm at when we was talking earlier, and it's like, what would have changed if it had killed Abram? I mean, a lot would have changed, we know, looking back. But
right?
What would have changed?
Right.
She would have still been taken into Pharaoh's house. Her life would have remained pretty much the same.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the other part, being female. Let me know if you guys think differently. Is how the men, don't take this wrong, but how the men are like, here, take her. Do with her what you're going to do. Take her. And the women didn't have any say in that. No?
I don't know that I'd go as far as say they didn't have any say.
I suppose there's that.
Yeah, I think that's details that were not logged.
Right, not recorded.
There was probably a bit of a exchange of words in that whole deal.
Right.
Especially when Pharaoh took her.
Right.
I would think. I can't imagine.
I wonder what would have happened if Sarai spoke up and said that's not true in the beginning.
See, that's what I'm saying. Because I know me and my mouth. It would have been very difficult. It would have been very difficult for me to not be like, no.
And as far as, no, I don't think that's... But I think there was an exchange of words as to trying to figure out what would happen if. I don't believe my limited knowledge of that time frame.
Right.
That a woman would have told a man no, husband or not.
Right. That's what I'm saying. How...
But I can certainly stand behind that she would have been resistive. Are you thinking about? Did you think about this? Did you think about that? What about this? What happens if?
Right.
And I don't know. Maybe women have just changed through the years.
And I
but
know
my wife wants answers.
My favorite
All
question from day one when I could talk was why, and it remains that question is why did that work like that, and why not, and why. I know, God knows. This one's got questions. But yet, just like he said in the beginning of the chapter, Pharaoh gave him orders and they sent him away with his wife and all that he had. But Pharaoh comes to the point of, what have you done to me? The curse has fallen on Pharaoh.
We're left to assume that, yes. They don't tell us what curses may have befallen him, but
right. Great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife. Or did she say, ha, dude, guess what? It's going to be curses come upon you because the Lord told my husband that if you don't be nice, there's going to be curses come on you. I don't know.
I don't have answers for that.
The details we don't have. And that is so, I'm sorry, God. The details that we have are what's important. Abram, go, and he did.
And he did, without question. He didn't. Without question.
He has to bring that up.
He just went.
He just went. Yeah.
There's a lot of things. It's too easy in stepping out into something unknown to lean on your own knowledge.
Right.
And, well, what happens if this happens and this happens and this happens? Instead of just saying, you got it, God.
Right.
And stepping in. And then when something does happen, then dealing with that as it comes. But many times by being obedient to God, the things that we try to put through our head that might happen never come to pass. Those are things that they're things that Satan's put in our head to keep us from fulfilling the will of God.
Because that's his sole objective. If he can keep us from our identity.
Can you imagine if any one of us that we know in this group or church or whatever, any one of us had the faith that they talk about in the Bible, had the faith that Peter had when he watched the Christ risen. If any one of us had that faith,
the mountains that would move?
The mountains would move, yes. But we are so in tune to, this is my life I've lived, this is my experience that I've had, and we are so into letting our experience matter more than what matters most.
And Lord, thank you. Thank you for your word, Lord. Thank you that we have examples. And like I said, Abram's just a foreshadow of Christ to come. And